They died on the day they were born, not by accident, not by coincidence. There's a psychological force at work here, one that Carl Jung discovered but most people have never heard of. And today, we're explaining why. Stay with me. Here's what the data shows. More people die on their birthday than any other day of the year. This isn't folklore. This is documented across England, Wales, Switzerland, Ukraine, and the United States. The birthday effect, scientists call it. But here's what's bizarre. Science can measure it, but science can't explain it. Why? Because the answer isn't biological. It's psychological. It's synchronistic. But before we get there, you need to understand something Jung discovered about dates and the human soul. Carl Jung wasn't like other psychologists. While Freud focused on trauma and repression, Jung looked at something deeper, patterns. He discovered that certain dates become anchored to your psyche. Your birthday is the strongest anchor of all, but not just psychologically, physically. Jung called this synchronicity, and it's the bridge between your inner world and outer world. Let me explain how this works. Your birthday isn't just a calendar date, it's an archetypal marker. Every year, on that day, something aligns inside you. Think of it like this. Your psyche has a memory, not conscious, deeper. Your soul knows this date, and every year on this date, your inner and outer worlds synchronize. For most people, it's just nostalgia, reflection, a feeling. But for some, especially the vulnerable, the elderly, the dying, that synchronization becomes dangerous. But why does this matter? Because what happens next reveals something Jung hid in his research. Jung was obsessed with cycles. He called them mandalas, circular symbols that represent wholeness and completion. Your birthday is your personal mandala. It returns every year, growing stronger, more significant. Here's the secret. As you age, your birthday becomes more connected to death, not less. Why? Because your unconscious mind is counting. Every birthday is a countdown. Your psyche knows the pattern: born, age, die. This isn't morbid, this is psychological truth. Jung discovered that the unconscious doesn't distinguish between good and bad dates. It just recognizes significant dates, archetypal dates, and your birthday is the most significant date in your entire existence. Now, studies show something fascinating. The effect is stronger for women in the week after their birthday. For men, it's the week before. Some researchers think terminally ill patients hold on until after their birthday, a psychological will. Then, when that threshold passes, they let go. But Jung would say something different. He'd say the boundary between life and death becomes thin on your birthday. It's a threshold, a crossing point. But here's what most people don't understand about synchronicity. Jung spent decades developing synchronicity with Wolfgang Pauli, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist. They discovered something radical. Consciousness and matter are more connected than science admits. Here's what that means for your birthday. Your birthday is an internal psychological anchor so powerful that it influences your external physical reality. Not through stress alone, not through behavior alone, through synchronistic alignment. On your birthday, something happens in the deep unconscious. Your psyche and body recognize the date. They synchronize. For most people, this is harmless, just a day of reflection. But for the old, for the sick, for the dying, that synchronistic alignment can become a trigger. It's like the body and soul are having a conversation. This is the day you were born. This is the day the cycle began. Is the cycle complete? And sometimes the answer is yes. This isn't destiny in a mystical sense. It's synchronicity in Jung's precise sense, an alignment between inner psychological truth and outer physical event. They're not causally connected, they're meaningfully connected. Now, you might think this is just interesting psychology, but it changes everything about how you should see your own birthday. This research isn't just academic, it's personal. If you're elderly or caring for elderly people, birthdays are moments of heightened vulnerability, not because of superstition, because of psychology meeting physiology. Second, your birthday is more significant than you think. It's not just a day to party, it's an archetypal threshold, a moment when your psyche touches something deeper. Jung would say, respect that threshold, recognize it, don't dismiss it as just another day. Third, and this is crucial, the reason most psychology ignores this is because it threatens materialist science. How do you measure synchronicity? How do you explain meaningful coincidence in a lab? You can't. That's why Jung's insight matters, because some truths operate beyond measurement. They operate in the realm of meaning. Your birthday means something to your psyche, and meaning, Jung discovered, has power. So the next time your birthday comes around, pause. Reflect, recognize that you're touching something archetypal, something that connects you to the deepest patterns of human existence. But there's one more thing Jung discovered that completely reframes how we should think about this phenomenon. Here's what Jung really understood. Life and death aren't opposites, they're synchronized opposites. Your birthday celebrates the day you entered the world, but statistically, it's also when many leave it. That's not tragic, that's meaningful. Your birthday is a boundary, a point where the boundary between life and death becomes visible, thin, real. Some cultures have always known this. They marked birthdays with rituals, with protection, with spiritual significance, not out of superstition, out of deep psychological wisdom. When you're born, you're assigned a date, and that date becomes part of your soul's architecture. Jung would say, don't fear this, understand it, because understanding the patterns of life gives you power. Power not to change fate, but to recognize fate, to see the archetypal patterns working through you. So when we ask why many people died on the day they were born, we're really asking, what is the connection between the deepest patterns of the psyche and the events of the outer world? Jung's answer: synchronicity, meaningful alignment, archetypal truth. Your birthday isn't just a date on a calendar. It's a threshold, a marker, a point where your inner world and outer world touch. Respect that, honor that, because in honoring your birthday, you're honoring the deepest patterns of your own existence. That's what Jung explains.